Hey there, fellow designers. You know how it is. Mornings can be a bit crazy, right? You're juggling client stuff and trying to come up with fresh ideas, and oh, yeah, gotta get that caffeine fix too.
Yeah, totally. And what we're diving into this article today that talks about adapting the miracle morning S.A.V.E.R.S routine, for designers. It kind of sounds like one of those things for like super early birds.
I know, right? I'm with you. Not exactly a morning person myself, but the thing is, it's not about like forcing yourself to wake up at the crack of dawn. It's more about those small tweaks that can make your whole day more creative. Think of it as a way to fight back against that freelancer chaos we all deal with.
And that's why it's so helpful. It's not about adding more to your plate. It's about making the most of those early hours to get those creative juices flowing.
So let's break down the first S in S.A.V.E.R.S, which stands for silence. Now, before you picture yourself meditating for an hour before even opening your design software, the article actually has a really neat take on this for visual people like us.
All right, it's not your typical silence. It's about getting that mental clarity before all the demands of the day start piling up. For designer, it's about getting into that flow state where inspiration just comes naturally. So picture starting your day by looking at visually calming things, like the article suggests, maybe checking out a mood board, or even just taking in the beauty of gradients in Figma.
I love that. It's like a warm up for your creative mind before you get to the heavy lifting. I've actually noticed that when I take a few minutes to just look at inspiring visuals before I start working, I feel much more focused and ready to tackle any design challenges that come my way. It's like those few moments of quiet really get my brain in the zone for creative problem solving.
Exactly. And that's because when you make space for that stillness, you're basically clearing out all the mental clutter that can block creative breakthroughs. It's
Yeah.
like you're creating a blank canvas in your mind, ready for those bursts of inspiration.
So I'm curious, what about you? How do you usually handle your mornings? Do you jump straight into the black hole of your inbox, or do you try to ease into your workday a little bit?
Speaking of easing in, let's move on to A, which stands for affirmations. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Affirmations can sound a little cheesy sometimes, right?
Yeah, I've definitely rolled my eyes at a few myself.
Okay.
But this article makes a really strong argument for how powerful they can be, especially for freelancers like us who can be our own worst critics. Remember those projects where the client just didn't seem to get your vision no matter how much you explained it?
Oh yeah, we've all been there. But imagine if instead of dwelling on that frustration, you started your day by saying something like, "Today I will solve my client's problem and create a design that goes above and beyond their expectations."
Whoa, that's a total game changer. It's like taking that negative energy and turning it into a positive challenge. It's all about shifting your mindset from feeling stuck to feeling empowered.
Exactly. And the article points out that affirmations are especially helpful for creatives because they can help us fight those sneaky feelings of self-doubt and imposter syndrome that can creep up on you, especially when you're working on your own.
It's so true. So think about those times when you start doubting your abilities or get bogged down by negative self-talk. What's one affirmation you could use to reframe those anxieties and give your confidence a boost?
And while you're thinking about that, let's move on to V for visualization. This one's particularly interesting for designers because we're already such visual people. But there's a key difference between just daydreaming and what the article calls actionable visualization.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So what's the difference?
It's not just about fantasizing about winning awards or getting a ton of likes on Behance. It's about using visualization as a tool to motivate yourself to take real steps towards your goals. For example, imagine yourself getting amazing feedback on your latest design project. You're thrilled. Now, instead of just enjoying that imagined success, let that positive energy push you to actually open up your design software and start fine-tuning those details.
I get it. It's like using that visualization as a springboard to launch yourself into action. So think about what success means to you. Can you really picture it, feel it? Now, what's the very next step you can take to make that vision a reality?
All right, let's move on to E for exercise. Now, before you start thinking you need to run a marathon, before you even check your emails, keep in mind this article is very realistic about incorporating movement into a designer's already busy schedule.
Okay, good, because I'm definitely not signing up for any pre-dawn workout routines. So what exactly are we talking about here?
It's about recognizing that even short bursts of physical activity can have a huge impact on your energy levels and creative thinking throughout the day.
Yeah, they even suggest simple things like doing stretches at your desk or taking a quick walk to get your coffee instead of ordering it online. I'm actually a big fan of those little stretch breaks myself.
Me too, because even those short bursts of movement get your blood flowing and can help clear out those mental cobwebs. Remember, a healthy body supports a creative mind.
That's so true. So what's one small way you could add a bit more movement to your workday? Maybe take the stairs instead of the elevator, or try a quick yoga routine during your lunch break. I promise your body and your creative juices will thank you. Okay, so we're halfway through the S.A.V.E.R.S system, and I'm already feeling inspired to shake up my morning routine a bit. But let's keep this going. R is up next, and it stands for reading.
This one really spoke to me. I'm all about reading as a way to keep learning, especially in a field like design where things are always changing.
Yeah, the article goes even further, though. It talks about reading as professional development, not just reading for fun.
Which makes total sense when you think about how fast the design world is moving. Imagine this just spending like 15 minutes each morning. That can give you a serious advantage.
I used to feel guilty about spending time reading articles or books that weren't directly related to my current client work. But this article changed my whole perspective on that. It's like investing in your skills and knowledge, which ultimately helps your clients in the long run.
Exactly. By staying informed and expanding your creative horizons, you're so much better prepared to handle those tricky design challenges and come up with truly innovative solutions.
So what about you? What are you reading right now that's getting your creative juices flowing? Any design blogs, books, or articles you'd recommend to our listeners?
Well, I'm really fascinated by the whole connection between design and behavioral psychology lately.
Hmm.
So I've been checking out some books about user experience and persuasive design. But, beyond specific topics, I think it's important to just get into the habit of reading diverse design perspectives.
Absolutely. It's like cross-training for your brain.
And,
Exposing yourself to different styles, methodologies, and schools of thought can spark those unexpected connections and fuel your own creative process.
and speaking of fueling your creative process, let's talk about the last S in S.A.V.E.R.S, which stands for scribing.
I gotta admit, this one kind of surprised me at first, but the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. Especially for us visual thinkers who are always surrounded by images.
The article describes scribing as communicating with yourself, which I thought was a brilliant way to put it. It's about capturing those ideas that pop into your head, clarifying your thoughts, and just getting rid of mental clutter.
Like decluttering your mind, right? And for designers, it can be super powerful. Think about it. We spend so much time working with visual stuff that taking the time to actually write down our ideas can really help us process information, refine concepts, and solve problems more effectively.
It's about translating those visual thoughts into actual words, which can lead to some pretty deep insights and breakthroughs. I found that when I'm struggling with a particularly challenging design problem, just writing down my thoughts and ideas in a notebook often helps me untangle the knots and figure out a clear path forward.
Oh, I totally get that. There's something about actually writing things down that helps me make my thoughts clearer in a way that typing just can't do. And it doesn't need to be anything fancy. The article suggests simple things like making daily to-do lists, writing down work-related worries to get them out of your head, or just brainstorming ideas for new projects.
And the great thing is you can find a method that works best for you, whether it's a good old-fashioned notebook, a note-taking app, or even voice memos. The key is to find a way to consistently capture those valuable insights and ideas that we often have throughout the day.
So we've gone through all 6 elements of the S.A.V.E.R.S system for designers, from finding moments of silence to scribing our thoughts. But before we wrap up, I think it's important to remember that this isn't about sticking to a strict schedule like it's set in stone.
Definitely. What makes this concept so useful is that it's adaptable. It's about taking those core principles and adjusting them to fit your own individual needs and preferences.
Because, let's be real, no two designers are the same. We all have our own ways of working our own creative processes. What works amazingly for one person might feel totally wrong for someone else.
And that's the beauty of this framework. It encourages you to experiment and discover what works for you. It's about finding what truly sparks your creativity and helps you succeed as a designer.
What really struck me about this article is the idea that how we begin our day can have a ripple effect on our entire work experience. It's like setting the tone not just for your morning, but for your whole creative output.
It's true. If you start your day feeling rushed, overwhelmed, and creatively drained, those feelings can easily spill over into your work. But if you can take even a little time to center yourself, ignite your creative spark, and approach your work with purpose and excitement, that energy will shine through everything you do.
I love that. It's about making a conscious decision to start your day on a positive note, knowing that it will have a lasting impact on your creative flow and how filled you feel overall.
It's about shifting your mindset from "I have to" I get to. Instead of seeing work as a chore, you start to see it as a chance to explore your creativity, solve problems, and make a real difference through your designs.
So as we come to the end of our deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought.
This isn't a one-and-done thing. It's an ongoing process of experimenting, refining, and discovering more about yourself. Enjoy the journey.
It's so easy to fall into that trap of thinking there's one perfect routine out there that will magically make us more creative. But really, it's about finding what clicks with you personally, what gives you energy and sets you up for a day of feeling creatively alive.
Right, and that's what I find so great about this approach. It's not about trying to fit into some mold. It's about creating a morning routine that fits your own creative rhythm. Taking charge of your day and shaping it in a way that helps you do your best work.
So as you go about your day, I want to encourage you to think about those S.A.V.E.R.S elements that really resonated with you, the ones you could actually see yourself fitting into your morning. Even if it's just for a few minutes, it's about those small victories that can make a big difference.
Yeah, even trying out just one or two of these things can have a ripple effect on your creativity, your productivity, your whole well-being. It's about making those deliberate choices that feed your creative spirit and set you up for success.
We've covered a lot today, but the real journey starts now. It's your turn to take these ideas and play around with them. See what sticks, what doesn't. Don't be afraid to switch things up along the way. Remember, this is your creative adventure.
I love that. And it's not about being perfect. It's about making progress. Who knows, you might even uncover some hidden creative potential you didn't even know you had.
And that wraps up our deep dive into S.A.V.E.R.S for designers. We hope you're leaving feeling inspired and ready to create a morning routine that fuels your creativity and helps you reach those creative goals you've set for yourself.
Keep experimenting, keep learning, keep creating.
Oh,
We'll catch
no.
you on the next deep dive into the world of design and creativity.